I was watching. You know where all the fat guys are playing? They're on the DP World Tour, Lubie.
Oh, Afi Barnrat's there? That's where Afi Barnrat is?
I don't know if Afi Barnrat, Kiridash Afi Barnrat, was the favorite golfer of the show. He would always root for him. He traditionally would be somewhat in contention after one round and then fade because he was stuffing his face with Laspada original hoagies, while the other guy is eating like 2 bites of a banana and then folding the peel back on it and giving it to his caddy. There's that Barnrat. He's got like a French dip dripping from his face. He's asking his caddy not whether he should hit a 7 or an 8 iron, but for more juice.
He's just drinking the old Jew. He didn't give a shit about the putt.
Did he use the belly putter? That would have only been appropriate. We used to bring him up to every golfer that we had on the show, every golf analyst.
Because he was classic to watch, the guy. Like, Stadler actually wasn't that fat. He was just like a bigger dude. Like, Afi Barnrat was fat. Like, he was a big ass.
Just fat. I mean, the first time I saw the guy, I was like, no, this can't be like the PGA Tour. Can you imagine when he was at the Players Buffet where the guy takes like half an egg? There's that Barnrat just taking whole trays over to his table.
Weighs like 80 pounds.
All those guys are on the DP World Tour now, Lubie, if you're a fan of golf.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
I haven't seen much from Kiridash Afi Barnrat of late. I don't think he's playing in the Arnie Palmer event. He may not be playing at all anymore. He may have just eaten his way right out of the golf world. That's possible. All right, welcome to the show. Good to have you guys with us. A little bit of a late start here. Been having a few technical glitches. I don't know if it's the Lubie computer or whatever, but you straighten it out here. You're on some other system, which is great. I'm Jeff DeForest. That is Mike Lubie Lubitz, and we have a large agenda today on the program, so stick with us. We may be launching a contest here, although it's a concept that I have to run by you. This is all done by committee. Oh, okay. I'm not in some kind of authoritarian ruling position here on the program. We have people to answer to. Mm-hmm. I haven't really run this by the brass yet. A.J. Johnson, Chris Visser now very much involved with our Bleacher Brothers friends, and great platform, growing by leaps and bounds every day. Mm-hmm. But this was kind of an idea that struck me to maybe introduce ourselves a little bit more deeply to the Bleacher Brothers crowd out there, because it's a mixed bag of sports fans, and they like a little bit of everything. So we were hoping that they like getting their day started, ignited, sparked up by what we do here in the morning, which is not necessarily meant to analyze in depth every meaningless sports topic. Although we will do some of that on the program today. We love meaningless sports topics. The latest of which is Kendrick Perkins qualified to make comments on the NBA as challenged by Charles Barkley, who says he's an idiot. And I have to admire Barkley, I mean, because I don't know that I would have the guts to do that. As we were getting the show here on Bleacher Brothers, and I started doing other shows there before this, including Conversations, which this week coming up, I want to already start touting it, although you always have to keep your fingers crossed in the video streaming era that the person that you invited on the show understands it's video.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we've never done video with him. Oh, God.
We've never done video with Jim Larinaga. Now, I did specify that it was a video stream.
You said this repeatedly, Tim? Yeah, because we've never done video with him.
I would imagine he's capable, though.
I've seen him do, again, when he's made these runs, you don't always have time to go to a studio. So they would go to Larinaga a lot when UM made that run 2 years ago.
Yes.
But again, it was through the school, so I don't, oh, man.
I'm assuming that he's going to be able to do this.
I'm not.
If he isn't, we're going to have a picture of him up because the conversation will be fascinating nonetheless. There's nobody that you could talk to, I don't think, in my opinion. I mean, maybe there are a couple at this level, but I don't know that you could find a guy with better insight into what goes into making a move in the NCAA tournament than Jim Larinaga, who essentially, I mean, could you consider the University of Miami, that run, a Cinderella type of run? Because it was in a lot of ways. I mean, FAU obviously was much more of an obvious Cinderella. I mean, even Dusty May was wearing glass slippers on opening night. Mm-hmm. But George Mason and the University of Miami going to the Final Four, That's a hell of a run. And the George Mason one, of course, was the kind of storybook fodder that really does. I mean, end up being right there. If you weren't going to write about James J. Braddock, you would have written about Jim Larrañaga and George Mason as they made their way into the Final Four in the NCAA tournament. What? How many years ago? And then to come back and do it again later on after people had condemned the signing originally. I still remember Armando Salguero going crazy on the air saying, "He's 61 years old."
Yeah, he was older.
Well, I mean, the theory was, well, geez, you need a hot young talent like Frank Haith or somebody like that.
No, please get the fuck out of here.
Let's bury our program here with a hot young coach. Hope they're not doing that with this Johnny Lucas guy. But anyway, so he's going to be joining us hopefully for our conversation show on Tuesday. He's already consented to do it, so in some fashion we'll have him on the air. Hopefully, he'll.
Ron, we can put look, we can do phones, so we can put a picture up. Like, you're not going to not have him on. I don't look. He could do video. It's just, again, he was dealing through the school. Now he's not there on his own volition. That's what's interesting about him is it was this year that he stopped coaching.
Yes.
They didn't push him out. Like he
probably can come back next year just as easily.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they loved Larrañaga. We all love Larrañaga. It was only 2 years ago. Like, you can ride that Final Four at Miami for.
What was it, an act of nobility or a futility? What do you think? Or maybe a little bit of both?
In the middle, I would say frustration. Like, they were playing futile. Like, the last 2 years were rough,
horrendous. Yes,
but they've been doing decent with recruiting, and he knows how to work the portal.
Who wouldn't want to play for him? I mean, once you meet the guy or hear him talk about basketball, it's the same thing, like I said, when Krzyzewski sparked that epiphany in me and made me think, you know what, the guy's not so bad. And I had rooted against him my entire life with every fiber of my emotional being, Mike Krzyzewski. And then when he started talking to me about basketball, there's something poetic in certain conversations about basketball, and it's always ignited by Larrañaga. And I think he really consented to do this because in my text to him, which I haven't spoken to him, I've never contacted him directly. We always did it through the University of Miami. We did have his cell phone number, and so I sent him a text. I got an answer within like 2 seconds. That's how great it was. And you know why I think it was, Lubie? Because I told him, as a guy who once held Eddie Malloy to 5 for 5 shooting in a game to 11, I would be honored if you would come on my show. So that was great. So we have that coming up on Tuesday, and we'll get into some bracketology. I've already done, I mean, you talk about premature evaluations, Lubie. I've already done my 5 versus 12s, and I picked the upset, the one upset. I think there's one upset possibility there. I don't know about the others, 5 versus 12s. Now, we have no idea if all of these schools will even be in the NCAA tournament, which is what makes sports talk so great, Lubie.
Okay.
And I do want to get into that thing a little bit about Barkley and Kendrick Perkins, because when did Kendrick Perkins strike you as some? And now you listen to Tim Legler, the guy knows the game.
I like Legler. I haven't heard him in a while, but I used to like him at least.
And even though, unfortunately, the way ESPN operates, you're seeing the same guys on every show, every single show. Yes. Dan Orlovsky was doing hockey the other night. I think he was a color man on their St. Louis Blues Buffalo Sabres broadcast. Like, what's Orlovsky doing there? And he had the telestrator on. He's doing this and that. Well, then you move a guy over here, and you move a guy over here, and you stick a guy over here, and this guy gets sucked in. And I'm like, a lot of what happens along the line of scrimmage in NFL games, does it not look very much like and remind you people from way, way back in the day when they used to have the demolition derby from the West Islip Speedway? And the last car standing that didn't get into a crash, what was the winner of this thing? And it went in a figure eight. So it was impossible to dodge everybody all the time. I'm sure there were like tag team efforts and a little bit of collusion where a couple of guys gang up on the guy that they hate. But essentially, it looks like a car crash half the time. Can you really explain all of that in a disciplined pattern and rational fashion, Lubie? Or would you not just say, hey, look at that, the fat guy fell down?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would do.
Paralysis by analysis, without which we probably wouldn't have been able to exist for like 50 years in terms of doing shows. But so I'm trying to entice, and this just struck me as I was having a deep thought process while I was on the throne, thinking this is the second time I've been on here this morning, and I still don't feel great. No, I know I felt fine, but and it's good to be regular. It really is. I don't want to get too graphic here at this early morning hour. But,
thank you.
But maybe that's why this idea occurred to me there. I'm thinking of a contest that we could do, and I don't know what kind of traction we would get on this. So it would have to be a contest that in all likelihood, we probably would not be able to pay off on. So we're hoping that the people end up all losing. Which and I thought of this: what if we had a contest to see who really was left being a baseball fan? Are there any true baseball fans? And we're based here in South Florida, and so our hometown team, unfortunately, is the Marlins, which is a team that if they started to talk about, remember everybody was all aghast years ago, maybe 20 years back when they were talking about contraction. That
Yep.
was the C word in Major League Baseball, contraction.
Mhm.
And who was always mentioned first? The Rays, and then the
Marlins.
Rays, performed very well, but and the Marlins, of course, and if and we were, oh my God, can you believe that they're going to evaporate our team, just suck it right up into no man's land, and it won't exist anymore. Not moving, just gone. Get them out of the league.
Yep.
Now, if they did that now, I don't know that there would be any resistance or any negative response. People would just go, yeah, okay. That's good. What would they do with the stadium? They would turn it into a flea market, a giant flea market, a
Oh, I
huge Montereau. But what if we had a contest and we offered season tickets? Now, we'd have to do this pretty quickly. Only got about a month to go. Season tickets to every Marlins game, but it was contingent upon the fact that you would have to be at every game and stay there throughout its entirety.
How do you even? How
Do you think anybody would enter for a chance to have that opportunity? That's the question.
How do you, I don't know how you work any of that. Like, they're getting the tickets fine. How expensive could they be nowadays? I mean, they're a disaster. But
Oh, they probably cost a fortune. There's no doubt. They feel like they're putting a good product out there in the field. What are you talking about, Lubie? They could win 50 something games this year.
You're supposed to automatically win 60.
Would there be anybody out there? You could comment on the chat line here if you want, but would there be anybody out there interested in a contest of that nature where and the strings that are attached are enormous. I mean, these are not even puppeteer strings. This isn't even Dave Campo sitting down there on the field or standing on the field while Jerry Jones is raising his arm via strings that he has attached from the suite, the executive suite, or strings now that you're seeing. Maybe I mean it's real string music going on all around the world where we're seeing a lot of weird examples of this. But uh, the Marlins to go to every game. There might be somebody interested in that. Is that possible, Lubie? Somebody that would be interested in actually attending every
Possibly.
Marlins home game this year. That'd be rough. It'd be rough for me. I would have to say, just getting
That's a
down
lot.
there
That's a lot.
would be tough because one thing there are no alternate routes in South Florida on the peninsula. You can go up and you can go down, and your choices are very limited as to what roads you can access to actually accomplish that. And it just happens that going south on I-95 from Broward County at 6:30 at night, most of these games start. Do they even start prior to 7 o'clock? What are these people thinking? And the traffic is just a veritable brick wall. You have to be capable of having success in the demolition derby to be able to get your way through I-95 to get to a game. But so do we make that a contingency? You can't just show up for the ninth inning. You have to be there. I used to love this, Lubie. When I was covering baseball, I first got involved out in California for various newspapers, a couple of different ones. And we were going to Angels games and Dodger games, and they alternated being at home. So you pretty much were at a game every night. I couldn't wait to get there. 2 hours early, stand out there in the field, shoot the shit, shoot the breeze. Sorry about that. With the greats of the game that were involved. The Angels had some really prominent players then. They were really trying hard. The singing cowboy had unloaded the saddlebag, so to speak. That was in the headlines every day. Imagine, what did he do? Did he pay like $400,000 for 3 years of Bobby Grich or something? I mean, you could get a ball player for what seemed like a fraction of the amount of money that you barely can even talk to. You can't even talk to a scrub anymore for $400,000, can you?
No, no.
All right, so you're thinking nobody would be interested in
Our
doing
friend Damon said he would be. Again, first of all, I'm trying to find out what the cost of season tickets are. Having trouble finding that.
How much are tickets? I mean, lower bowl tickets for a Marlins game, probably at least $25 a pop. No,
Oh yeah,
would have to be in that
lower
category.
bowl,
I was
yeah.
paying 14 back in 1993 when it came into existence.
But how do you legislate them going to every game and staying the entire game? Like, I don't know how we
Reports. We would have to get reports, unless they could figure out how to green screen themselves in front of a crowd of 6. Imagine you would have to find an empty stadium and green screen yourself, or can you do that? Is there a way technically to
Yeah,
go ahead and
Photoshop, you can do a
superpose yourself over a live game, even though you're not there, Libby? Could that
and
happen?
AI can do some crazy crap. So that's
If somebody was smart enough, though, to do that, we would have to give them
no,
the prize, no? Well, they already got the prize, though. They got to go to every game, and they get to be a correspondent here on the show and give us live reports on Bleacher Brothers Network and our other platform, which is South Florida Live. And you just give us a report on every game, all throughout the game. Here we are in the fifth inning. I tell you what, 13-1 is not insurmountable.
my
We
friend
got some good young kids in the pen, and they're down there on the farm, man. That team at High A, you should watch them. I tell you what, they got some bombers on there.
I would have no interest. I would if to go to 5 games would be a lot for me. 81 games and then have to see the whole game. No way.
It's impossible. What am I
No
talking
way. I mean, Damon already on the chat said I'm in.
about?
I don't know if that's a good or a bad.
You know what? If I wasn't, looking at financial ruin, I would buy the guy the tickets just
I
out
would
of the
love
fact
to
that I
try
wanted
it.
him.
I would love to try it. I'd love to see if he could actually make it through 10, 81. Screw. I'm not even worried about 81.
Imagine
Through
it
10
would
games.
be like just suffering, mass suffering to even have to sit through the entire session of opening day, wouldn't it? No matter what. Hey, Sandy still got it. That's about it. Who was the guy again? And I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. The pitcher that I thought was going to win the Cy Young Award.
Urania.
Oh, yeah, Jose Urania.
That was Jose Urania. Because he was a big dude and he threw hard. He just was inaccurate.
They started him opening day that year. Remember that? And he gave up a home run on the first pitch.
He opened the stadium. I remember being there with young Chris. Like you had like touted him. It was a whole thing, and then the first pitch, boom.
Boom! Oh, long fly ball, way back there.
It's like this is gonna be a long year.
Right. There's our dissertation on baseball to start the show. This Kendrick Perkins thing. I mean, how crazy is it? The guy comes out with a statement that the Lakers have saved the league. Is that really true?
What
The
do people
Lakers play of late. Now they've won 8 of their last 10. They've been red hot for the last month or so since the Luka deal. All of a sudden, that looks a lot better than it even appeared originally to be, because you thought, all right, so Luka will capitulate for one season, remainder of the year to LeBron. They'll force LeBron out the door, even though he's playing great.
Yeah.
And it'll be Luka Doncic representing the city of Los Angeles, and the Lakers. They'll put a few guys around him. Maybe JJ Redick will make a comeback, pop a couple of threes, and the Lakers will always be at least relevant.
Yep.
Now, they're in second place in the West, although a long distance behind Oklahoma City. And Barkley's point was that Oklahoma City and Cleveland are playing great basketball, lights out, as he put it, balling right since the start of the season. And with the little respect, I mean, almost a total lack of respect that people are giving diehard sports fans that we know, Lubie, you included. You're the biggest NBA offseason deal speculation guy that I've ever met in my life.
Oh yeah.
And yet, when the regular season's on, when they're actually playing ball, you don't give a flying one about it. Unbelievable.
Perkins is an idiot. I'm not. I try not to be that mean. I was gonna say he sucks because I feel like that's nicer, but no, he's an idiot. Like no one's watched more games because of any of this. Like it's the ESPN spouting nonsense. They spent a lot of money for the contract. It's been an utter disaster. The ratings have plummeted every single year. No one cares more. Like no one cares. Like the playoffs, maybe they'll care. Hopefully the playoffs will be more competitive than last year because the playoffs sucked last year. But the regular season, like the Doncic going there, you guys are talking about it more because you were already talking about the Lakers being So now you're like, oh, good, we can keep talking about the Lakers and they're good. We don't care about you talking about that. Like the eyeballs on ESPN content has fallen by the wayside. Like we watch the live action when we care. And again, there's no more discussion nationally outside of national networks, but local, no one cares about basketball. People are probably talking baseball more than they're talking basketball. Like the basketball regular season is utterly useless. We didn't do it. You did it. And get to the playoffs, guys. Like this didn't change anything. And I hope Barkley called him out for that because it's stupid.
Oh, he ripped him. Literally. And this was bold because we don't have the wherewithal or the leverage to be able to do this. But if we were going to a new network, would you be ripping the network on your old network before you got to the new one and saying essentially that they're just deliberately shoveling the Lakers and Golden State down your throats? Now, Golden State has also prospered Although I don't know that all of it is due to the presence of Jimmy Butler and the switcheroo there. But nonetheless, they're 8-2 in their last 10, much like the Los Angeles Lakers are. I've come to this, though, and I find the NBA now wildly entertaining from a degenerate gambling standpoint. And this is a pattern that I think you could have made 2 or 3 plays and been rich, filthy rich off of that. You could have lost the rest of your bets the rest of the season, no matter what you were betting. You could be betting Korean ping pong with Andy in the middle of the night, and you would still be ahead. If you took in situations where really top-notch teams fell dramatically behind, especially against lousy teams. Now, it happened the other day when Cleveland was down 25-3 against the Boston Celtics.
Yes.
In the NBA's heyday, that lead would be insurmountable. Hell, I mean, think back when you watch that whole thing with Michael Jordan. Look what the scores were.
No, it was dumb.
I mean, Jordan was getting his 32, but the final outcome was 87-83.
Yep.
Bulls over the Knicks.
Yep.
And that was enormous. And you thought, wow, I watched a wildly entertaining offensive showcase.
I don't know if I ever said that.
No, that's a halftime score. It really is.
Oh, no, it is. 100%.
So what do you think? I mean, the reliance on the three-point shot, and you're watching good shooters shoot 4 for 12. Who wants to watch Luka Doncic miss 8 threes in a game? How entertaining is that?
I don't look. The Laker Warrior thing is such a. I don't want to say the word propaganda because the Lakers are the 2 seed and the Warriors are what are they 6 or 7, but they're on a bullet.
Warriors are 6th right now, but it's a tepid 6th because they're surrounded by teams that could surpass them easily.
They're 9-1 in their last 10, and Butler did put up 25 last night. But what was the story? Curry put up like 30, and like Curry went insane in the second half, carried them, and that's been the story. Well, he's 37. Like the other teams, and the professor standing by will bring him on. Like when you look at the Thunder's roster, my only issue with the Thunder is their roster looks like it's garbage. Like it just does. Like the names of the players for a person who doesn't watch night in, night out NBA, I can't fathom how they're this team that's going to run through everyone. But they have. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is not LeBron in his heyday. He's not Kevin Durant in his heyday. He's not Giannis in his heyday. But he is arguably the best player in the game right now. Again, there's Jokic still. I'm talking about right now. He's going to be the MVP. He's not the best player on the best team. That used to be the best guy in the league that year. He's an all-around player. He's a leader. He does all the things. But he's not, and he is a superstar now, but he's not like some all-time great as of yet, right? And then the rest of the team is just a bunch of really good, solid players that contribute, which used to win you titles, but we haven't seen that win in recent years, so it's hard to fathom that team is just going to run roughshod. But they have. And to watch a Lakers team that's super top heavy, 2 guys that are team players, that are good leaders, that have won. But the rest of the Laker roster, like, I don't know the names of the Thunder guys.
You would think Austin Reeves was Austin Carr. I mean,
get out of here. Like, that's my problem with the Lakers. And then the Warriors, that team's not good. Like, it's a bunch of And then you need Butler to be the Butler we saw with the Heat, even as a second dude, and even now he's not doing it. It's just
they were down 20 to the Nets in the first quarter last night.
There's a lot of fluff. I really think it comes down to the Nuggets, Thunder, as much as they want to push the Lakers and the Warriors. I'm sorry to say it. It feels like it's Thunder, not Thunder and Nuggets. Like that's just what it feels like. And in the East, it feels like it's Cavs and Celtics. I don't know if that makes it boring for the playoffs. I'm sorry, but that's if you watched any NBA and you look at the talents that are on those teams, they're going to rise above the rest of the conferences, at least to me.
So you're saying essentially that the NBA is just a propaganda machine that is feeding ESPN its various themes, and they are just hammering those home with a buffoon as their front man in Kendrick Perkins.
And I'm not saying
and people are buying it. We've seen this pattern work in other areas. Yeah, I mean, if they're telling you it's the truth, I guess it is. All right, we welcome in the professor to the program. He's I can't imagine that you're a huge
lot of NBA talk this morning.
Yeah, well, I got on it because I'm just looking at this. It's rare that you would have somebody calling on a network he was about to join as being a farce, which happened with Barkley. And Barkley's always sparking and igniting people. If you were looking to generate clicks.
Start the morning with me by calling Charles Barkley a farce.
But in this case, I mean,
who doesn't love Chuck? I mean, what's wrong with you?
He Yeah, no, he made a valid point, I think, because after a while, you're looking at. I actually saw that statement by Kendrick Perkins, and they just let it go. You know, somebody says something on a show, and it's absolutely absurd, but you're
I
thinking,
feel like if you're going to be on a show with Kendrick Perkins, you have to prepare to let a lot. I mean, honestly, Kendrick. I was not a big Kendrick Perkins fan, and that was before he announced he was starting this NIL company.
yeah,
Oh,
Where somehow you were like, you know what, college basketball over the years between the street agents and the shoe companies hasn't been nearly sleazy enough. So I'm gonna jump in and make this NIL thing really, really scummy, where we're taking these eighth graders and signing them to contracts that give them, $100,000 in trade for their shoe endorsements for their entire life. Um, there was that, and then there was like, I don't know, like a year and a half of the MVP stuff with him, where he was like, "Oh, the Jokic only because he's white," and Joel Embiid is a much, and it was like, dude, do you watch any of these games? Are you watching this? I mean, look, I am firmly in the camp that, like, yes, his brothers look like war criminals, and he very frequently does not look like he's interested in basketball. But are you watching this Jokic cat? Like, if you watch basketball, you enjoy basketball. How do you not enjoy this guy? Like, he
yeah, it's
does
great.
things nobody his size has ever done. He's 7 foot Eastern European Larry Bird. Like,
Yeah,
and the funny thing is, if you go back, if you watch any of these clips on YouTube, you see like these young black kids who, when I was a kid, hated Larry Bird because everybody hated the Celtics, who are like the biggest Larry Bird fans on the planet. Because you go back and watch the highlights, you're like, God, this unathletic 6'9" white dude was doing this crazy. The passing and the shooting. I mean, and Jokic is doing all this, and he's bigger.
yeah.
Like, how anybody isn't a Jokic fan is insane to me. And Kendrick Perkins went on like a hate campaign against the guy for like a year and a half.
All of a sudden, he's Johnny Cochran. Yeah, no, it
Right?
was
Like,
unbelievable.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's not to smash on Embiid, who obviously had a great year last year, but like pretending that it was a farce that Jokic might win over Embiid. Like, the dude's historic. Like,
Jokic
there's
does
never
more than
been a
Embiid.
center
No.
who plays like this.
He does. The passing with Jokic is the most fascinating thing. Well, when he throws a blind over the shoulder pass into a guy that's wide open in the corner when there was
Right?
nobody could see him. He wasn't even on camera. It was a pleasure to watch those last couple of years of him passing the ball. It was like Bill Walton came back in his prime. The way he was moving the ball out of the pivot. So
Or like,
no, and
Sabonis,
anyway, those are
if Sabonis had never blown out his knees, like, it was like, again, historic stuff. And Kendrick Perkins, again, spent like a year and a half shitting on it, and then came with the whole NIL thing, which, again, because
yeah,
Kendrick
criminal activity.
Perkins saw a gap and was like, you know what? Since Vaccaro died, college basketball has not been nearly sleazy enough with the shoe companies.
All right,
Get
we're
in there and do that.
going to come back with more with the professor. Get some college basketball plays. I would imagine what it doesn't mean as much Michigan State and Michigan right now because Michigan clinched their Big Ten regular season last night, I believe, with was it an Iowa loss or something along those lines, Professor? But there are a
I
couple
don't
of
know
games.
about that, but
Yeah,
I don't
so-
think the Iowa loss had anything to do with it. I don't believe Iowa was
all right.
in the mix there, but
No, I don't know. I mean, maybe it was.
oh no, it was Sparty who clinched, not Michigan.
Yeah.
Sparty clinched the
Michigan
Big Ten
State,
by
yeah.
coming back and beating Iowa.
There you go. That was the thing.
Okay.
I knew Iowa was involved, and it was Michigan State. Didn't the game doesn't have the impact that it might have, but still, arch rival game. So we'll come back. We'll talk about that a little bit in the big board for this week with the professor. That's coming up in a moment. Now that
The time.
it's 8:36.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-4...
This comes from the great Defo Lama. It's the bets you don't make, the chances you don't take, that can compromise an otherwise incredible life, my friend.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on The Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. Getting set for the Professor's Big Board. Want to maybe set you up for a score over the weekend on college basketball as well. That's Mike Lubie Lubitz up there in the corner. And, of course, the Professor joining us every Friday. All right, anything cooking in terms of college basketball wagers? I did throw out a wager yesterday. It was a week endorsement. Had some technical issues with my guest on the Bury Your Bookie show, which you're joining me on every Fridays.
Also
every Friday.
familiar with Defo technical issues. So
Technical issues. I was on the other guy's end somehow. He couldn't log in, even though he does it all the time. And I ended up having to make a pick of some sort just to give the people something out there. So I throw out Justin Thomas to win the Arnie Palmer. He's been playing a little bit better. He seems to be really enjoying himself. Is he in there with a shot?
Why is I got to ask, and maybe it's a kids thing. Maybe this is another like app revolution. Why is everybody betting fucking golf and tennis? Like, did everybody in the world join a fucking country club over the last 6 months? Like, everybody now I know is like super into golf and tennis. And the tennis one is really annoying because it's like these first round European and Russian names that I couldn't spell. Like, some guy will come on TV and be like, I'm taking Sergio Manamanaga whack whack. Like, how the fuck do you spell that? How am I supposed to find that on a sheet? You just put like 14 consonants in a row there. Like, I have no idea.
I can picture this guy, and I'm blanking on his name. It starts with an L. It was kind of an honorary sort. Had a bald head, looked like Mr. Magoo. Real good player. He's somewhat hovering around the top 10. I believe he became a coach of some prominent players since then. And there was always strange Russian money pouring in on the other side of his matches, and he inevitably would end up retiring after 3 games. It's very, very suspect.
Supposedly, according to a lot of people on Twitter, Terry Rozier found himself in that situation the other night. Where he was
under suspicion. We talked about that.
During the Cavs game, there were a bunch of people. I guess he had some bad turnovers.
Made some weird plays. I saw him take 2 stupid threes late in the game. They were in a nice run. The Cavs, Mobley was doing nothing on the inside. They were getting to the basket at will, and he jacked up a 3. Bricked it. They got an offensive rebound. Then he jacked up another airballed it. But Ken, I guess there was some.
Anyway, there were a lot of comments on Twitter like, "Oh, Terry Rozier's in debt again," or Terry Rozier's trying to impress some Instagram girl again. I guess I don't know.
Were members of the Gambino or any of the in
the front row?
Anyway, we're
sitting courtside there with one of the famous DJs from downtown there on South Beach.
Is the Arnie Palmer what used to be the Bay Hill? Is that
it is the Bay Hill? Yes, it basically is one and the same.
All right, so is
the
Justin
Arnie
Thomas
Palmer Bay Hill Classic?
Is Justin Thomas playing well, or did some guy?
He ended up 1 under. He's tied for 11th with a bunch of other guys. That includes your favorite Scotty Scheffler, Morikawa, who everybody's waiting to come back into the winner's circle, but not out of it. Wyndham Clark, the leader through round 1 at 5 under, so 4 back. Not a horrible pick. Unlikely to win the thing, but let's face it. I mean, you have a 1 in 72 chance because it does seem like everybody's capable. But
I
no,
see.
golf's a great bet. You know this for yourself. I know you only
I
bet
see some South
major.
Africans is in third. Jim Nance must be in a corner masturbating somewhere.
All right, let's get
Right?
this
And
straight.
Elon blew up another rocket last night. Like,
Yeah,
good job.
exactly.
Like, let's
Not
put this
usually
guy in
running
charge of the
planes.
planes.
Yeah, get out
And
of here.
I'm sure his reaction can be like, rockets blow up sometimes.
Yeah, these things happen. Mistakes happen.
In South Africa, sometimes they run into the black neighborhoods.
Jesus.
All right, let's get into some college games
We
here.
call that a happy accident.
College games, Professor.
Yeah, there's actually a lot on the slate. Not just over the weekend, but today. I think there's some very interesting spots in these conference tournaments. Start with Illinois State and Belmont at 3:30. Belmont catching a 1.5 from the Redbirds. Two really close games in the regular season, but I think Belmont comes in with a pretty significant advantage as Illinois State got pushed in the first half yesterday. And, early afternoon to early afternoon is not usually the easiest turnaround for teams. So kind of like Belmont plus the 1.5 in that spot. Then
You know
get
my
it.
feelings on that.
What's that?
Any
Yeah, well,
team
obviously,
after a
any
racetrack,
Racetrack, yeah.
I'm betting them.
then you get into an afternoon spot, and you got UNC Asheville, who did not close well, which probably gives you a lower line than it should be, as they're playing Charleston Southern, who is just absolutely miserable on the season. UNC Asheville was 5.5 last night. Looks like it's up to 6 or 6.5 today, but looks like an excellent spot for UNC Asheville, and I'm assuming that is going to be played. Oh, you know what? I was wrong. I was actually assuming that'll be in Asheville. That's where that tournament normally is, but it's being played in Johnson City, Tennessee, which I got to be honest, I didn't know was a real place. I thought that was just from that stupid Wagon Wheel song. I thought that was like made up. But no,
Very popular town.
like Asheville on a sort of thin line there. Then VCU and Dayton at 7:00. You got Dayton catching a lot of points and sort of playing for their at-large life there. So I kind of like Dayton catching a bunch of points. It was 9.5 last night. I'm showing 9 right now, so it's trending down. So if that's one you're interested in, maybe jump on it right now. But I will be on. Illinois giving 4.5 to Purdue, like the Boilermakers on the road spot there. Have not liked this Illinois team, particularly in the second half of the season. And then the big one, which unfortunately I put in last night, fortunately, but keeps going up by the moment. That was Winthrop, originally laying 2.5, now up to 4.5 against Longwood. This is a repeat of a regular season matchup where Winthrop just absolutely clobbered them, and it was only 10 days ago. Winthrop beat them by 30 10 days ago.
Wow.
And in the conference tournament, only laying 4.5 currently, but it keeps going up. So I would say jump like right this second if you're interested in Winthrop. So a lot of action this afternoon and this evening. And I think there was even, I think there was even a late night one. And a red hot Colorado State team catching 5.5 at Boise State. Boise State has actually been very good at home this year, so it's a tougher take than normal. But Colorado State is just hot as a pistol, and getting 5.5, which is a good 3 or 4 points higher than I'd be willing to lay at this point. So take a look at the Rams, who seem to be closing strong again this year, which they've done the last couple of years.
This is just beautiful. Winthrop, Belmont, UNC Asheville. This is
That's why we love him.
this is what's going to make for a
I
great.
did throw Purdue in there. I mean, anyway.
Oh,
And
he's
then
that easy.
Sarni's asking me about every game on the board tomorrow. In the rankings. I've only got 2 numbers. That's Auburn laying 8.5 to Alabama in an afternoon game. I would probably take the points there. Obviously, a big rivalry there. Auburn's a better team, but Alabama can score. I don't know that I would lay 8.5 in that spot. And then Duke laying 12.5 to North Carolina. I mean, Duke beat
Sounds about right.
Duke beat the holy snot out of them earlier in the year, but this is in the Dean Dome, where obviously historically Carolina has been very game to some Duke teams that looked like they were much better coming in, including that last game for K. So I would I don't know. I would probably pass on that one. The other games he asked about, St. John's and Marquette, I don't know what the number is going to be. I would lean very heavily towards St. John's. That's probably one I will play, particularly.
Didn't Marquette just get destroyed in their last game?
I mean, Marquette fades every year in late February, early March, and
Yeah.
they're absolutely doing it again this year. If St. John's is getting any points, even if it's a half a point, I would definitely lean that way. And then Michigan and Sparty, I have no idea what the line's going to be. As Michigan heavily stumbling, coming down the road, and Sparty finishing strong. I actually think that number will probably wind up north of what I'm willing to lay. I'm thinking that number is probably going to come in at least at 5.
Wow.
And I would not touch that game.
All right. Big board for this week, Professor. Big board.
We do have the big board, and it is this time of year. And I was talking to Defo and doing an early show with Defo. And he's like, we're all about college basketball now.
That's it.
I'm under instructions to put nothing but college.
All we're talking about.
And that leads us to the big board, which is the big board of the most annoying people you encounter every year during the tournament.
All right.
It's getting that time of year. We're 1 week away, or a week and 2 days away from Selection Sunday, when all of the cave dwellers, the troglodytes, who shut up during the rest of the year, crawl out of their cave and begin to annoy you about what's going to happen during the tournament. So we're taking a look at 5 of them this week, and it is the big board of the most annoying people during the tournament, some of which may apply to members of this show and the audience, if we're being honest about it.
Yes.
So maybe if you are one of these people, correct your behavior for 2025.
All right, here we go.
And that starts us off with number 5, which is your friend who will not leave you the fuck alone about his $5 Yahoo tournament group that he has started, and he really wants you to play in. You know this guy. You start getting emails 1 minute after the brackets come out. I started a Yahoo group. Look, man, I'm sorry your office sucks. And I'm sorry you're not a member of some website that provides you with a good pool to be in, but leave me the fuck alone about your $5 Yahoo group. It's not worth my time. Like, it's you're now text messaging me on Thursday, the first day of the tournament, at like 9 o'clock in the morning, ask me please to join, because with you we'll have 10 people. And like, I don't have the time. I've got 9 other brackets to fill out. I can't pay attention to your stupid Yahoo. Like, if you're on Yahoo,
yeah, Yahoo's still a thing.
Don't freaking text me about it. I don't want to be in your stupid Yahoo group.
Yahoo's still, I didn't even know Yahoo.
And I don't have time to Venmo you $5. Really?
Exactly. Dude, just eat the $5.
This is the
Who's
biggest
in a $5 pool anyway?
This is really the biggest indication, because it's not even Venmo. It's
Yeah.
always the one friend you know who has Cash App. And let's be honest, if you're using Cash App these days, even I'm assuming you make most of your money off of OnlyFans, to be brutally honest. There's a lot in what app you use to do your financial transfers.
Yeah.
And the guy who runs the $5 pool always wants a Cash App.
Even I don't.
I don't have fucking Cash App. Leave me alone. I
Got to
don't.
be at least 20.
I'm not
to 5.
sending OnlyFans girls money. Why would I have Cash App? Like, if you use Cash App and you want me to pay you in your basketball tournament, don't email me. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in your 8-person tournament.
$5.
You've been bugging the hell out of me for 2 weeks. Leave me alone.
All right. Good start. Number 5, most annoying people around tournament time.
And that takes us to number 4, which is the jerk off who picks based on matchups.
Mascots. Matchups are important.
This guy. And we joke and say it's women, but there's always some asshole at the bar who has done this and wants to tell you about it. Oh, really?
Right.
It's so interesting. Give me the breakdown of what you thought about, I don't know, how the Blue Jays would use their quickness and speed to outfight a duck. Like, who the fuck cares?
We have to clarify your general despising
That's
of
why I
mascots.
hate mascots too. But
Please explain to me how the Blue Devil would use his magic powers to overcome a guy with a gun, the Mountaineers. Tell me about how in the 17th century they used to actually fight bears versus tigers, and bears always won. Who the hell cares? Because the Romans held animal fights 1,000 years ago. And that's how you're now picking. If you don't like college basketball, just don't participate. I'm going the hell out of the rest of us who actually like this sport, and this is a big event for us.
God,
I don't care about your analysis of mascot fights. Who the
mascot fights.
Nobody cares. And congratulations on your totally
God.
unoriginal freaking system that you have created. That was actually the storyline for a What's Happening episode in 1977. I'm not even joking. There was a What's Happening where Rerun was picking games based on mascots.
No, really?
Yes,
I love
really.
that show, but I didn't know that was an episode. Oh my
Most
God.
annoying of,
It is.
even eclipsing.
Women do it. I get it. I didn't know dudes like do the Mayo food.
See, everybody
Yeah.
pretends that it's just women. It's not just women. There's always some asshole in every office pool who has never watched college basketball who does this. And again, really, again, if this is how you're doing it, that's fine. Just don't tell me about it. Again,
He analyzes it.
There's number 4 on the list.
I don't give a shit about a Cardinal versus a Blue Jay and which one pecks harder. Like, who cares?
You're absolutely right. 1,000%. All right, that's number 4. Number 3.
That takes us to number 3, which is really a more modern creation. People didn't used to. Honestly, it exploded with the number of websites and the number of tournaments. But number 3 is the guy who's got 20 brackets and 20 different results.
Oh yeah,
Be
exactly.
a man, pick one bracket, and no matter how many other go with the same bracket. Look, I have come to the realization long ago in my life that I am never going to actually win. Oh, I might finish. I've finished in the money a few times, but I'm never going to win. I accept that. I'm in, 30 different tournaments with hundreds of thousands of people. Statistically, I'm never. But if I ever do win, I'm going to win like $5 million. Like I've got one bracket. So if I win, I'm winning them all. And it's going to be like I hit the lottery. I'm fine with that. Don't be the guy who's like, well, if Houston beats Duke, I've got Houston to go to the Final Four. But if Duke wins, I've got them going out in the next round. So I think I'm going to lean to Houston because this permutation. Like, what the fuck? I don't do this to do math. Like, you've somehow figured out, and you want to tell me about it. By the way, I couldn't find a good picture for this one, so I used Guy Fieri because he seems like the kind of asshole who would do exactly that.
I was like, this guy Fieri.
It seems like if you were next to Guy Fieri on the Saturday at Flavortown on the Saturday, he'd be telling you, well, if North Carolina wins, I got this. But if Kansas wins, I get this. But if Michigan State wins, I've got this. Don't be that guy.
That's usually the sales manager at the radio station.
Pick one bracket, stick with it, be a man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the kind of things. Lubie, you can relate to this, right? You get out of a general manager's on, not the general manager at the last place we were at. He was a stone degenerate, gambling his brains out.
He was really
a fistful of cash all the time. I was always giving it to the cleaning lady, oddly enough. But the sales manager would be that guy that would go, well, you know what? I'm almost like you're in that second round of highlight points where you start rooting against the team that you picked because you need them to lose to stay alive.
In my ESPN bracket, I have this, but in my CBS Sports, I have this, and in this one, I have this.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah,
nobody cares. Like, if
guy who has every horse in every race.
If you do it, at least be decent enough to shut the fuck up about it.
All right, that's number 3. Number 2.
Number 2, I'm going to say for me personally, is the worst person on earth, and it peaked last year. I will tell you that ahead of time, but I couldn't because I don't think it annoys as many people as it annoys me. But number 2. The guy who roots for the fucking Ivy League team every year. And yes, I use JD Vance for the picture because
he clearly does.
Everybody who does this looks like JD fucking Vance.
You're right.
Like everybody, and it peaked last year because the Ivy League team was Yale.
I was gonna say,
and
yeah,
everybody was cheering for them. And Yale is the worst of the Ivy League. Like, legitimately, I'll throw out a trivia question. Do you know who has been voted the most famous Yale alumni 5 times in the last 6 years?
No idea.
Defo, you got a guess?
No, I don't. Ron DeSantis.
It is C. Montgomery Burns from The Simpsons. It is the Simpsons, Mr. Burns. And do you know why Mr. Burns gets voted the Yale alumni, the most famous Yale alumni?
Oh,
because he's the one who's the least hated. The bad guy on The Simpsons is the good option because all the other options are politicians that everybody fucking hates. They're the presidents that aren't like Trump or Obama or Biden, where like one side loves them, and they're the presidents that everybody on both sides think are garbage. Like George Bush. Like when even the rest of the Ivy Leagues think you're pompous and evil, that should say, and that's Yale. But yet, bunch of 45-year-old dudes in beards sitting in bars like, let's go Yale. They play basketball the right way. Really? This is basketball the right way? For 30 seconds, you run around and try to get a backdoor cut, and when that doesn't work, you just chuck up a three from the stands with 3 seconds left on the shot clock. That's basketball played the right way. And by the way, you're too fucking young to remember like George Mikan throwing outlet passes or the Pete Carrill offense. Basketball has been played this way your entire fucking life. You're talking about Globetrotter clips you saw on YouTube from the 1950s. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. You haven't been alive when basketball has been played as anything except a super athletic sport your entire life. Just say you're racist. I would honestly rather just admit that you don't like black players than try to talk me up about Ivy League basketball.
Yeah.
Nobody, again, and why do you only do this with the fucking Ivy Leagues? Is it in your brain so dug in of the superiority of Ivy League jerk-offs that like you don't even like BYU has tons of white dudes. You don't see old guys with beards talking about fucking BYU basketball during the tournament. No, but it's always the goddamn Ivy. No matter who the Ivy League team is, it's always the goddamn Ivy League team. And they sit there actively cheering for them in the first round every year. God, there is nothing worse than the people who always cheer for the fucking Ivy League team. It is the worst person to run into.
That's the number 2. I mean,
and honestly, it's like you're slaves to your fucking masters. You were rooting for Yale. Again,
and they become the underdog. Yale's the underdog.
If Satan discovered an official school, there's no question it would be goddamn Yale.
I can't imagine that. I mean, this would have to be.
Which one?
The guy I'm thinking of, number 1.
Number 1, you know who it is on the show. And I wanted to balance out the politics, but I like this guy. But there is nothing worse during the NCAA tournament than the chalk-eating pig.
Oh, I thought you were going to put Jay Billis up there.
I love Barack Obama. He seems like a really good dude.
Yeah.
But there is no bigger chalk-eating pig in the history
Defo was talking about
presidents or anybody else than Barack Obama.
I'm not sure. Michelle was screaming, pick an underdog.
I think, honestly, a number 9. I think a number 9 was number 9 beating number 8 was the biggest upset he picked in 4 years of picking the tournaments. His bracket was always like 3 number 1s, and I'm picking a big upset here, a number 2 to be the 4th team in the Final Four. And the number 2 was always some historic power. It was always like Kentucky on a 2-seed or Kansas on a 2-seed. He's like, well, I'm going with Kansas over Alabama in a big upset here to make it up. No, it's Kansas. Honestly,
you had to admire the attempt.
No, I don't, because it was a chalk-eating his pig attempt of all time. And I think one of his years 4 number 1 seeds actually made it.
So yeah,
everybody's like, "Oh, Barack Obama sure knows." Well, no, he picked 4 number 1 seeds.
Like
there's nobody worse
comes on
than everybody who wants to tell you, "Oh yeah, well, the 3-1 seeds and a 2 are going to be the final. That's your Final Four here. I do have a big upset. I've got a 10 beating a 7 in the first round." Nobody worse than the chalk-eating pig during during the basketball tournament. So that, my friends, was
the 5 most annoying. Wow,
the 5 most annoying people.
Never got
during the NCAA tournament.
That's unreal. I mean, he must have been tapping on the door there at number 6 or 7. Jay Billis.
Oh no, this was types of people, not
he's like people in the world. People in the world.
Yeah, this is.
Well, he's a type. Yeah, the type you would put a fist to the screen.
Honestly, though, we talked about it the other day. Since the Shire era started, the Duke scum have kind of been hiding in their. We'll see if they come back out this year.
They're reemerging
for
this
Cooper
year.
Flags, but the Duke trash has really not been that prominent the last couple of years. So we'll see
All right.
Maybe they'll make the list next year because they'll annoy the hell out of me. Maybe honestly they'll be sitting with the Ivy League guy during the first round. That would actually be great. Is if Duke played the Ivy League team,
That would be
all
awesome.
those old dudes with beards, brains melted down as they tried to choose between the Duke all white all stars and the Ivy League. And I would love that. I would love to see. I don't know who's winning the Ivy League, Penn or whoever. Penn playing Duke in the first round.
That scene you described with those two groups in the bar was actually the inspiration for the Chaz Palminteri scene in Bronxdale.
Now you can't leave.
You can't leave. Yeah, and he's got the guys coming out with the baseball.
Really,
them all in.
Tournament committee. If you wanted to throw this together, I'm just saying, like if Duke played the Ivy League team in the first round, it'd be like a lot of middle-aged white dudes with beards sitting in bars on a Thursday afternoon, brows furrowed, being very confused by what they were supposed to do in this situation.
All right, we got to run. Professor, good job.
You're the
We'll
best.
see you later on this morning. Thank you once again. The big board of the most annoying types coming around on tournament time. I didn't get the professor the memo about trying to be on a clean side of things there. But we'll see. I couldn't stop him. He was on a roll.
It was great. I'm sorry, he had me crying.
Is the way around that to just put a disclaimer up?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he can. Why he did on radio? He can do it. You just didn't tell him, so he went all in. I mean, he's talking mascots. Like when he starts talking mascots,
people don't even know the background on that. Where he got arrested in what Puerto Rico for punching out Bernie,
he get arrested.
Mascot.
Bernie was in. It was the Final Four with Anthony Davis on Kentucky, and he had a monster bet, and they were cruising, and then the game got tight, and Bernie was like, because no one cared. We were at this barbecue fest.
Yeah.
We found a TV, and Ken was like locked in, and Bernie wouldn't leave him alone. So he like beat the crap out of Bernie. He's like, get the hell off.
Did he tackle him right there at the?
Shoved him, and he fell down, and it was like.
Was he affiliated with us in any way at the time?
Yeah, he was.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that's bad, all right? Well, Bernie got popped. Remember that time? That was in Puerto Rico, where Bernie splashed water on some lady, and turned out that she was, the daughter of the president or whatever. And they didn't really take kindly to it. And the next thing you know, they're trying to put this mascot in handcuffs. It was kind of crazy. Mm. I think he might have had to answer to legal people and actually pay a fine. Is that possible, Lubie? We'll have to backtrack on that story there, and or do a little research on that. But then you get popped. So there is an element of evil, as the professor suspects, in some mascots. Is there not?
That's annoying. I mean, to be as a grown adult, your job is to antagonize and annoy people. Like there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. All right. So we'll figure out a way to handle the.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
We didn't mean to have a lot of offensive language or sexual innuendo in the professor's segment there, but I forgot to tell him, hey, it's a whole new world out there today.
Sure.
So, in the interest of broad appeal, we're trying to limit that down, but it was too good. I couldn't. You know what? If the program director had stopped you in the middle of it, even if they fired you right after the piece,
he was hysterical.
You had to let the guy go. No, you had.
He was there. I don't know. He's classic.
Yeah.
That takes the tournament very seriously.
All right. Don't make me look bad, Justin Thomas.
Oh, good luck.
You mediocre, middle of the road. I mean, he seems to be enjoying himself, though, Louie. That was part of my theory. He just seems to be having fun. People are ripping that whole TGL thing. I like it.
Okay.
Oh, how weird is that? Because how vulnerable are these pros that normally just as if driven by LoJack to locate the middle of the fairway? Almost all of their shots are perfect. And then all of a sudden, when you're playing a virtual game, you don't know what the hell's going to happen, do you, Lubie? I mean, they've gotten far more sophisticated from the time that I originally experienced them. Remember when Atari was like the big thing?
Yes.
And you had that tennis game where the little the little disc went back and forth, and that was hard. And then the only other game that you played was Mike Tyson's knockout game, where you would have Glass Joe.
Yeah, you played Mike Tyson.
What were your chances of winning with Glass Joe? 0.
Oh, no.
0.0, my friends. That was it. But now, I mean, you have Tiger Woods hitting a shot and all of a sudden it just mysteriously veers off into a canyon,
Mm.
and he lies one down there. And then they come back, and I guess they have some kind of bizarre putting green. But then they bring all these weird people out that you would never see cheering for golfers. I think it's accomplishing what they set out to do, which is turning people that otherwise never would have watched golf in their life into actually viewing it. No, Lubie, have you watched any of this crap? I mean, it's not like I'm riveted to it. I just catch glimpses of it. Everybody's having a good time. Celine Dion's out there going, "Come on, Tiger!" It's crazy. But yeah, I think it's accomplishing a goal that many other sports have whiffed on, right, Lubie? Which is you've got a staunchy old sport that appeals to people 60 and over. And, before these stars, especially Tiger Woods, I don't know, his star is never going to fade away, is it, Lubie?
He's a name. He's always going to be a name to my.
He could be a crippled up 93-year-old waltzing around Augusta National there, and they go, now to hit the ceremonial first shot. Here's the great Tiger Woods.
Yep.
And he can barely make it up to the tee box, and you're thinking, wow, how sad is it? I won't be around to see it, though, unfortunately. I'll be looking down saying, I can't believe I used to bet on this crap. We got to get out of here. Thanks to the professor for joining us. And once again, we put the disclaimer out there for anybody sensitive to, I mean, I don't know. Some language. Let's put it that way.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
We will see you guys on Monday here on Bleach Brothers. And thanks so much.
Grant Long back in the fold.
Oh, yeah. Oh, great.
Monday, I finally heard from him Monday at 8:30. He will join us as his Pistons are among the league's hottest teams.
One of our favorites to talk to about the NBA. So Grant Long going to join us on Monday's show. And then Tuesday, we got a big thing. We're hoping this works out because so far, so good. The great Jim Larinaga with a preview. Well, it'll be a tournament week ongoing in the conferences, big conferences. And then I don't know that anybody has more experiences to share with you than Larinaga would about being in the tournament as a massive underdog.
Yep, twice.
Rattled off 4 wins. I think they lost in the semifinals that year as they went to the Final Four. George Mason. Did they lose that first game? I'm pretty sure.
Both teams lost in the fours, the UM and Mason. Yep.
All right. We will see you on Monday. Thanks so much for tuning in as we leave you now that.
The time.
It's 9:08.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my show.